This is how I sound when I talk. How about you?
This is how I sound when I talk. How about you?
Ding dong, bing-a-ling-a-ling-long.
Who's there? Who's there? I don't care who's there.
Hi. Hello. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
This podcast is brought to you in part by Dragon Shield. Use code PLAYTOWIN5 with the affiliate link down below for 5% off to help support the show.
Welcome to the Play to Win podcast, where we talk about winning in cEDH. I'm Cam.
And I'm Dylan. This week we have a smattering of topics we're talking about. A couple decks that have done well in tournaments, a couple cards that we think are interesting, just some thoughts on cEDH right now.
I figure it's a podcast. We can talk about whatever the hell we want.
Whatever the hell
we want.
You have a little bit of a list. What's the first thing that we're getting into right now?
I have a little bit of a list, yeah. I wanted to follow up from a little bit of a conversation that we started on last week, but didn't really fully get into.
I do face stuff, you do hand stuff.
Let's not call it that. Oh, no, this is the Wandering Minstrel.
Depending on what you're looking at, because last gameplay we talked that we would talk about Etali in the next podcast a little bit. Maybe that can be, I don't even know if you added that to your list, but maybe that can be part of our smattering.
I would love that to be.
You love talking about Etali.
Why would I not want to talk about Etali?
All right,
yeah.
Let's bury the lead a little bit, though. I'm down to talk about the Wandering Minstrel first, because I think this deck is almost something.
I think this deck is too. I think it's something enough that it won a tournament.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's
which
awesome.
Is pretty sick. And I wanted to take a look at the list a little bit because I think it is very interesting. So
I still don't understand the combo with this line. I'm pretty positive there's a combo that you can win the game right off the bat with Scape Shift.
I found it.
You have it. You know it.
I found it.
Okay.
Yeah. So what you do is you do need a decent amount of lands in play when you do this, but when you cast Scape Shift and you sacrifice your lands, you need to get Shifting Woodlands, Teleria West, which is the one that transmutes.
Yeah.
Lotus Field.
Okay.
And then a bunch of other bounce lands that you could, or like other lands that you can use to make multiple mana.
You've said 3 lands so far specifically?
I've said 4 lands. Shifting Woodlands, Teleria West, Lotus Field, and then a bounce land.
Any bounce land.
Well, a green one,
yeah.
You're going to use your Lotus Field to make blue, and then you're going to use your bounce land, or I guess you kind of want 2 bounce lands to make green. So you can go get like the green-blue ones to make Growth Chamber, or Golgari Rot Farm. I can't believe I know the names of these cards.
Fun, yeah. You also need the Wandering Minstrel in play, right?
Yes, because when all these lands come into play, they should enter tapped, but you'll get to have them enter untapped.
Right.
Yeah. Notably, also the green land that has depletion counters. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's the Sprazin Scary cycle.
That would also work here?
That would also kind of work because it still taps for 2 greens, so it's perfect with Shifting Woodlands that you need to do.
But you still need at least 1 bounce land, right? Because you need to return Teleria to your hand, I imagine?
Exactly. Let's say you find the depletion land, and let me get the name of the depletion land. Hickory Woodlot. Hickory Woodlot. You can find Hickory Woodlot, you can find Simic Growth Chamber, and have Simic Growth Chamber return Teleria West to your hand, and then use the Lotus Field that you have to tap for 3 blue, and then transmute Lotus Field to go get Summoner's Pact. And then that way you can Summoner's Pact for your Aftermath Analyst, and that lets you set up the Aftermath Analyst and the Shifting Woodlands line from there.
You transmute the Teleria, not the hexproof land.
What did I say?
I think you said you transmute the hexproof land.
You use the mana from the Lotus Field to transmute the Teleria West, and then go find Summoner's Pact.
Yeah, and this is in response to the trigger to sacrifice 2 lands that the land will come in, because there's a trigger, sacrifice 2 lands when it enters, but you can respond to that trigger and tap it for mana, since your Wandering Minstrel allows it to come in untapped.
There's no trigger that makes it untap, like if you had an Amulet of Vigor out, which then again, you could still stack in a way that is beneficial for you. But this is just, they enter untapped, and before you have to sacrifice any lands, I guess
the mana.
You can stack it so that the first trigger that goes on the stack is the Lotus Field one, so that, because you need the bounce land trigger to go. But at the same time, you can only transmute Teleria West and cast the Aftermath Analyst at sorcery speed. So you do have to sacrifice your bounce land and the depletion land, or like the Lotus Field. But at that point, it doesn't matter because they already made you the mana.
They made you the mana, and then when you cast the Aftermath Analyst, you can sacrifice it and would use its ability to return them into play.
Exactly. All those lands that you sacrificed will come back, and the Wandering Minstrel will have them be untapped. And then this way, now you have like a ton of lands that make way more mana than they cost, and then they'll just keep going back to the graveyard because of like Lotus Field and that kind of other stuff.
And then I got to imagine the Shifting Woodlands has to become a copy of the Aftermath Analyst at some point, and then activate its ability again.
What's really interesting, now I know what you're thinking, is Cameron, there's a bounce land trigger in there, so you're going to lose a land, but you won't, because you stack the triggers however you want.
So you can target one of the lands with the bounce land, and then target the same land with the land that sacrifices that. I don't know why, I still can't remember the name of it.
Lotus Field.
Field. And target the same land with both of those abilities.
And because you put the bounce land trigger on the stack first, and then the Lotus Field trigger, they resolve in that reverse order. So the Lotus Field trigger will sacrifice that land before it's returned with your bounce land.
Okay, this is similar to a line that like Loomer uses to win the game, but
shit, wait a minute.
What do you have? You just interrupted me to say nothing?
No, I'm sorry. I got mixed up because it just says return a land you control to your hand. There's no target.
Do you just keep on returning the Teleria to your hand?
You could just keep on returning the Teleria to your hand and then
you make enough mana to retransmute. Is that what it is?
If you want to do that. And then you can always just fail to find that way too.
I guess, yeah. I know normally also, like in Lumra, you need a land sack outlet to make this combo work, but I imagine the Lotus Field allows you to sack enough lands to keep going?
The Lotus Field is very helpful for that, yeah. Because it is what really allows you to keep putting your lands into your graveyard. A couple of other lands sacrifice, like Horizon of Progress sacrifices, and that's pretty much what this deck does.
Okay, so let me just go over it again. So you need the Shifting Woodlands, you need the Lotus Field, you need Simic Growth Chamber, Hickory or some other bounce land or something like that, and then you need Teleria. Those are the 5 lands you need to find, so you have to have 5 lands, or do you need 6 for the amount of mana that you need?
Let's see. So Teleria taps for 1, Lotus Field taps for 3, a bounce land, and Hickory taps for another 4.
So that's 7?
No, that's
8. 8, okay.
And we need 3 of it to go transmute for the Summoner's Pact.
Then you're down to 5.
And then 2 more to cast the Analyst.
You're down to 3.
And then
4 to activate the Analyst's ability to bring them back.
Where you need to make 1 more mana. So I think we still need 1 more land.
So is it Escape Shift for 6?
Escape Shift sounds like Escape Shift for 6. There's a lot of lands that do this, like Crumbling Vestige is another one that ETBs and lets you float a mana.
Okay.
And then you can still tap because the Wandering Minstrel lets it enter the battlefield untapped.
Is Vesuva in here? I think there's no way that you can have Vesuva come in at the same time as any of the other lands and enter as a copy of that land, so you can't make more mana with that?
No, but Vesuva's not in here, but the arguably more broken Echoing Depths is
Echoing
in
Depths is pretty good, yeah.
Which is weird because, it enters tapped as a copy of a land that's in the graveyard, except it's a cave. Except it doesn't enter tapped because of the Wandering Minstrel.
Okay.
And there's something weird about this card that lets you have it enter the battlefield as a copy of something that it was in the graveyard with?
I know for sure that if you activate the Analyst and bring the Echoing Caves back and another land back, you can have the Echoing's land come in as a copy of a land that was in the graveyard when they were all in there at the same time when they're brought back.
Which sounds like it's bullshit,
that sounds like cheating.
True.
But that is how it works. I know this because there's like in my casual zombie deck, there's a zombie that enters with a +1/+1 counter for each zombie in your graveyard.
Oh, okay.
And if I cast a spell that like brings all my zombies back at the same time, it sees all the zombies that were in the graveyard for some reason, even though they're all coming back at the same time. Like last known information, it checks the graveyard and sees what was there. So yeah, Echoing Depths is the name of that card.
Echoing Depths.
If you were to bring Echoing Depths and a bounce land back into play, the Echoing Depths could come in as the bounce land if they come in at the same time.
It's Echoing Deeps.
Echoing Deeps?
Yeah.
No.
It's Deeps. DEEPS.
What the hell does that mean?
Deeps.
Barely is a
funnier.
word.
It's funnier.
I guess so, yeah.
Because Deeps is just funny.
So we're pretty locked in that 2 mana for Wandering Minstrel, 4 mana for Scape Shift, and 6 lands in play is a win the game. If you're a Wandering Minstrel player and that's wrong, please let us know in the comments. And if you want to question us, you should definitely go and check. I'm pretty sure that you're right. That's what the situation is.
I'm pretty sure that that's what it is too. And there's other cheat codes that you can use to make this easier. Like if you fuck something up with a bounce land, well, we're on Bazaar of Baghdad, so we have a land that we can
get some more lands in the graveyard.
Exactly.
And that might make it cheaper or something.
Help turn through our deck. And Hedron Crab is like an all-star in this deck and a card that Lumra wishes that it could play.
Yeah.
But you just really easily start to fuel up your own graveyard so that even if you don't have like a billion lands in play and you only have the 6 when you go to Scape Shift, you are going to get back 8 to 12 lands all of the time.
We've talked a lot about the lands decks are like getting closer and closer to really being something, and finding a pseudo 1-card win condition is very close. And the fact that this is also a 2-mana commander that you can get on turn 1 very easily, you can hold up Fierce Guardianship and Deflecting Swat and all of the free counter magic and shit like that. It feels like this is really something, but you certainly have to have a moderately to large size brain to have this combo go off. Because I got to imagine if one of the lands is trapped in your hand, it throws all the mana off, or throws all the math off, or something like that. You have to do
instead of getting it, you just get Bazaar of Baghdad. But then again, maybe you needed the mana or something. Right,
Bazaar doesn't tap for mana. Yeah, there's I'm sure a lot of caveats to all of these lines, but if you know your deck super well, I got to imagine it feels sort of like Sisse, where if you know your list inside and out, you can win from basically nowhere super easily.
From almost anywhere. Yeah. It's a fast deck. It's turbo. I think it's turbo to the point where like it can win pretty consistently consistently on turn 3. I don't know how many turn 2 wins it's getting because we kind of need to have 6 lands in play.
How the fuck do you do that?
You kind of need like Exploration or Burgeoning or something like that. This deck is on both of those cards. This deck is on Corrosive Wayfarer as a way to get extra lands into play. What? This is the mana dude that sacrifices himself to put a land card from your hand into play. It's on a Boreal Grazer.
A Boreal Grazer.
Just more ways to do this.
I've been thinking about, I just recently started putting Rogthrast together, and I've been thinking about playing a Boreal Grazer in Rogthrast just as like another creature for Gaia's Cradle. It's another. Yeah. Oh, I wonder, does Gaia's Cradle change the math too? Is Cradle in this deck?
Cradle's not in this deck.
Oh, weird. You would think.
You would think that Cradle is in this deck,
I guess
but
there's not enough creatures to turn it on. Deck. Interesting. Okay.
You know, it's not as good as Lotus Field.
That's probably true.
That's kind of it. Yeah, like Hickory Woodlot also has a way to get itself into the graveyard. Like,
interesting.
And Cradle just isn't consistent enough, I guess. It doesn't do anything on turn 1.
Although you said this deck probably wins on turn 3 often, and I think that's probably true. By our past definition of turbo, to me, that means this is not a turbo deck. If you're winning on turn 3, that's regular style.
But I think what this does in tournaments, though, is that it flies under the radar because it's also a Lurrus Companion deck, by the way, which is something else we haven't said yet.
That can't be right. Just play Rhystic Study, right?
Why do you need to play Rhystic Study?
You draw cards because it's the best card in the format.
You're not drawing into interaction to like help you stay alive. Like you're kind of, you play a little bit of interaction, but I think like you're kind of leaning on there being other mid-range decks at the table because you're at a tournament. Like mid-range hell is still kind of prevalent in cEDH tournaments.
I gotta think like Burgeoning and Exploration get really good with Rhystic Study though. No, I don't know. Lurrus is like fine enough. How often are you spending 6 mana for a Lurrus effect?
But again, like it's if you're not trying to go multiple turns with a Rhystic Study in play, Burgeoning is not that good. Like because you're really only trying to get like 1 extra land drop with it. And if you don't want to have like multiple turns with a Rhystic Study in play, you're not going to get that much value off of it. You're really trying to get like 1 turn with a Rhystic Study in play, I guess. And I think it just makes a little bit more sense to lean in on this. Like use your little bit of interaction to help the mid-range deck stop Rogsai, stop Etali from winning, and then you get to win second and really take advantage of that.
I just think Rhystic Study helps with exactly what you just said.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know. Like Lurrus is cute and I get it, and like maybe you don't need Rhystic, but like Rhystic we have talked about is definitively the best card in the format. It almost doesn't matter what deck you're playing.
But you're never winning the Rhystic Mirror though. Like against a blue farm deck, this deck is never winning the Rhystic Mirror.
But against a blue, like it's not winning but would you rather have no Rhystic Study than a Rhystic Study?
I guess I would rather have 6 mana Rhystic Study than Cloud and play.
Is the deck playing Cloud? Is
the deck's on the Cloud and Skullclamp thing? Yeah. I guess I would still rather do that and then still play like Ranger Captain of Eos that can go get me Corrosive Wayfarer and then
I've never played this deck. I have no idea. I always just think that Lurrus feels a little too cute. Like yes, you can get away with it, but like if it didn't have the new updated buy effect where you have to spend 3 mana to put it in your hand,
then it'd be way better.
Then it'd be way better, right? Yeah. Then I'm
maybe it's just a political tool so that people don't deal with
I'm
you.
not even playing Rhystic Study.
I'm not on any of these good cards.
And fair. That totally fair. This person won a tournament and we have not, so totally fair.
No, I thought that was very interesting too. Yeah.
The Cloud thing. We haven't talked about that on the podcast. That's kind of a neat thing.
We did a little bit.
Did we? Oh, we did?
We did a little bit. Yeah. It was in a Q&A episode or something. Or a hot takes episode. That's what it was. Yeah.
Cloud to go get Skullclamp and then you sacrifice the Cloud to draw you 4 cards is okay.
Which is okay. Yeah. And Lurrus lets you get Cloud back into play and then lets you draw 4 more cards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
which is cute. Yeah.
It's like 4 cards a turn, but like you've spent a lot of mana at that point in order to do that. But
a weird amount of resources to try to do this too.
You're drawing Skullclamp. Sometimes you go, what the fuck is this doing?
Hell yeah. I have to pay 6 mana for my Lurrus to even start this.
I just can't get over that. Having to spend 6 mana before you even start your thing, and you have to like spread it out over turns a lot of times. It means like you have to waste a whole turn just putting Lurrus in your hands, and you don't even have like a Solitude or some like the decks in the past that have done that. Like you put Lurrus in your hand, and then you can just like pitch it to another like a Solitude effect or something. Solitude, that's free or whatever. You can't really do that here. So this deck, it does seem sweet, and I keep on saying the same shit, but like sooner or later this card is going to be a real contender, and it winning a tournament is proving that it's a real contender now. It's already here.
Having a 1-card win condition is really good for a lot of decks. And I think that this deck having that is pretty good. I bet Splendid Reclamation is probably also a good 1-card win condition.
It's in the deck, right?
It's in the deck, yeah.
So good.
So that seems like something else that's cool that you can do. So I don't know. I really liked this. I thought it was cool to talk about.
And the fact that even we don't even know how exactly it works is a good sign that like a lot of people aren't going to know exactly if your deck can win. Especially if we're telling everyone that it's 6 lands and you know in your head it's 5 lands, maybe you shouldn't tell anyone. And you go, it's 6 lands. Totally, 6 lands. Anyway.
6 is an awkward number.
Escape Shift with 5 lands in play. I don't know.
It's totally fine. Yeah. That's really funny.
Yeah, deck is cool. Deck is sweet.
Deck is very cool. Yeah, I only figured that out because of Bloom Titan in Modern. Yeah, like having a little bit of history with Summer Bloom and that kind of bullshit.
Aftermath Analyst and Shifting Woodlands adds like a whole new aspect, even though those cards really aren't even that new anymore, but like they've added a whole thing to this land strategy across all formats.
Figuring out how they work together with Lumra, I think was kind of like the sauce that made this all come together.
But this deck isn't playing Lumra, or is this one? No, it's not, because it's playing Lurrus.
No, I think that if you're a secret Lumra deck, you're bad. Because I think that Lumra is the best Lumra deck. Like, what makes Lumra good is the command zone.
That's why Etali's good. Same thing. It's when Etali dies, it goes back to the command zone.
The secret Etali decks haven't caught on because they don't get to cast Etali every single game guaranteed.
Right, and they don't get to recast Etali when Etali dies.
That's the thing. You could play every clone in the world or something, but like it's not. That's why Raph and Mikey didn't do this.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Raph and Mikey, here's a card that doesn't see play in that deck.
Okay. Perfect segue.
Artist Talent.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot more. Talent, I spelt it right. And this card, I think I'm sleeping on still.
I've seen some Rogside pilots play it, and it seems like it's pretty good. If you're planning on drawing a shit ton of cards and you want to cast a bunch of spells afterwards, it can kind of turn all of the dead lands that you draw into more action.
If you're in an Underworld Breach deck, I think. Yeah, which makes sense because Artist Talent is 2 and a red for an enchantment class. Something that says when you cast a non-creature spell, you may discard a card. If you do, you draw a card. But you can level it up for 2 and a red at sorcery speed so that non-creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. And if you level it up again for 2 and a red at sorcery speed, if a sorcery control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals, who cares? That damage is supposed to.
It does more damage. It does like two more damage each time. Yeah,
2 more damage each time. Yeah, it's
that part's not
really
relevant for us most of the time.
It's really a 5-mana rouse, Eric.
Is it 2 and then 2?
It's 2 and then 3.
It's 3 to pump it up.
Yeah,
right? Okay,
it's 3 to pump it up.
Yeah, okay. Even if you're not doing breach stuff, obviously much better if you're filling the graveyard.
It's really 2 to pump it up. You're right, because it immediately gives you a discount on a bunch
It gives
of
you the
spells.
next thing. So it feels like it's really closer to 4, kind of, as long as you're casting something afterwards, which why would you activate if you're not?
So I guess you need a 5th mana a lot of the time to cast something else,
but you get it back.
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 You know what? It's non-creatures. It's not just instants and sorceries. I feel like a lot of these effects, it's instants and sorceries, but this means Soul Ring's free.
Soul Ring's free and makes you loot. Mana Vault's free and it makes you loot. That like feels kind of nuts.
Yeah.
And like, yes, the breach thing is good if you're filling your yard turbo cracked. But even if you're not and you're drawing a bunch off of Ristic Study, counter your spell, loot. And then I get rid of this land and I draw another card and maybe that's a counter spell. You know what I mean? Like even if you're doing that thing. And Sam Black posted a video recently talking about how powerful like the Shuffle Titan might be in this like crazy resource battles of when you're playing something like Rog Ishai and you just need to get your counter spells back into your deck so you can continue to interact with the table. If you cast like a split second spell and with that split second spell you trigger this and you can discard a card and draw a card, no one can respond to the split second spell, and then you can put your Titan, your Shuffle Titan, your Kozlak or whatever into the graveyard, shuffle your counter spells back into the yard, and then at an uncounterable way you kind of like refill your library with counter spells. It sounds like a lot of hoops that you're going through, but I do think it gives you an opportunity to like really dominate in the late game by you just always have more counter spells than your opponents because yours go back in the library.
You'll never run out of resources because they just keep filling you back up. Yeah.
Which is a little bit tough in tournament play because how the fuck do you have enough time to, you know what I mean? Like that means that you can guarantee the game you win if you go for 4 hours. Sure.
And that you're going to redraw all of those specific cards. Like, yeah, you have a lot of resources still in your hand. You have a lot of lands in play at that point. But at the same time, like your fetch lands are in your graveyard and that might be a dead draw that you have too.
And like extra dead because your fetch lands go back in, but there's no more targets because you've already fetched all your lands out. There's only so many lands that you can find.
But again, like if you just, it's still more resources that you have. Like if it helps you like bounce your Mox Diamond and now you have another land to discard to like your Mox Diamond again, like that's value. Like it's better than not having anything.
And the split second spells, they do a very strange thing where
doo-doo.
The split second things do an interesting thing where they allow you to interact very late. This was something that Sam was talking about in their recent video where if you have a split second spell, you can just kind of wait until everyone else does their interaction and your spell can't be interacted with. So you have the secret 2 damage at instant speed, at split second speed. You can kill the Magda at the last possible moment where everyone else has to interact a little bit earlier. I do think that's kind of an important thing. And with these like Ristic Study worlds where everyone's trying to grind as much as possible, the split second spells, even though they're a little bit overcosted, I do understand how they can feel a lot more powerful, and getting this like discard effect added onto a split second spell is super interesting. I think
it reminds me of Hashaton, where people started to try to figure out like loops to get uncounterable wins into play with Hashaton and stuff like that. So I'm nervous that like it balances on the too cute side of things, especially when we are in time tournaments and people are especially trying to make tournaments take less time in general. But I think it is a really great way to kind of fix the problem where like, yes, Kinning can do this just by casting Endurance, but Endurance is a very interactive interactable thing.
Respond to endurance.
You can respond to endurance, and this is something that you can't respond to. Like in response to endurance, now I can like silence or something and like
Born
clog
upon the
up.
wind, win over top, whatever.
I can clog up the stack a lot more so that you don't have the opportunity to, I don't know, maybe do this again then later on the stack. I think it is definitely an interesting spot to be in. Cards like Artist Talent allow you to do that. I think it's a really interesting upgrade from Dragon's Rage Channeler. I feel like DRC is a card that a lot of these decks used to play to like help fuel their breach, and now with like a little bit of extra steps, it's a DRC whose upside is way better than I have to attack and get in for a little bit of damage.
Right. Yeah, like you must attack.
I must attack.
That part, you can lose it because you must attack sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah. And if someone left a Gilded Drake open, you're
right. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess you attack somebody else, but still.
Sometimes in the late game, there's 3/4/4s in play, and you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just nice that like this is also a non-creature. I don't know. I think that's kind of nice. And again, the upside that this gives you when you level it up is way better than the free upside that Delirium gives you, which is basically nothing text.
I'll be honest, for me personally, the split second to discard to put the counter spells back in your library, that's not really a strategy that I'm super interested in. The way that I would like to attack the Ristic Study meta is by winning on turn 2. We've talked about this before.
I think it's a better way to do it.
That's the way that I want to put all the cards on the table right at the beginning. I don't want to push the game into late game, and that's partially because my brain is small, and if I go into the late game, there's a good chance I'm going to make a mistake at some point, and it's going to be devastating. If you're playing these strategies, you really can't afford to ever make a mistake, and the longer you play, the more chance that not even you'll make a mistake, but like a player will hide the right information from you, and you'll counter the wrong thing because you didn't know there was something else. Whereas if I know my line inside and out, yes, there are opportunities for me to make a mistake, but I know what I'm supposed to do. I know what you can have in this situation. I know how to play around what you can do, and I like that style of play earlier, or just like now I can afford to play around my brick trap, so I do it, and then if I do, I win the game, and that's it. I can go get french fries. But otherwise, I'm gonna have to wait for 6 hours, and then maybe the game will be a fucking draw. I would much rather 5 points and get a win than possibly get a draw later on, but that's a personal thing.
You know, as I'm learning to play this Urza deck that I built last week, you know, I brought it to locals for the first time, and the very first game that I played with it, my turbo brain was still kind of on.
Yeah.
And I had a Commandeer in my hand, and my opponent that was going before the Rog Sai player was the only other like control opponent at the table. They were on Y'shtola, and Etali was like kind of in between us there still. And so my brain was like, well, I'm the deck that's gonna have like a lot of the interaction. I should try to commandeer this Ristic Study, and then that way Rog Sai is gonna feed me. But what I didn't think about was, no, Rog Sai is just gonna cast Ad Nauseum, or they're just gonna cast Necropotence.
That's a way better commandeer target.
And the Ristic Study player's never going to counter my commandeer for that because I'm playing Urza. I'm not a good Ad Nauseum deck. So like it's way easier for me to, you know, get that to go off, and then that way I just have to beat a Ristic Study, which I still probably can do because I just Ad Nauseum'd or something like that.
Right, yeah, you have to be super patient. Like you said, like you have to really think how the full turn cycle and how the full game is going to go. And then you could have been wrong. What if Rog Sai kept a weird hand? They needed something to click and it didn't click in time, and they do nothing. And you let the Ristic Study resolve, Commandeer in hand, and Rog Sai, I don't know, they just like they didn't have it or whatever.
And now I don't have a card draw engine.
You have nothing and you waste your whole turn. So like
I kind of thought could happen because on turn 2, all Rog Sai did was play Silas, and I was like, oh, this is a dumb spot to be.
Maybe they kept a shitty hand.
At the end of the game, he goes, no, I literally had to cast Silas on turn 2 to turn my Mox Amber on for my second black mana.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I was like, God
that's
damn
weird,
it.
but sure.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. You just kept it turn 3 because you figured 2 other controlling decks could stop Etali.
And sometimes that's the move with Rog Sai, where you have a hand that like maybe it has a little extra protection, and you go, the turn 2 is not here, but I have a turn 3 with double protection, so sure, I'll keep that. I've done that before, and like that can be fine. So I think sometimes it's a mistake, but it can still be fine. You know what I mean? So like it could have been like a hand like that, and then you commandeer and they have protection. You go, well, shit, I wish I had a Ristic Study instead. I guess. You know
that's
what I mean?
The thing. It's just kind of funny how like you were saying that like there's more opportunities for you to make mistakes, and I think that was kind of like the perfect time for that to happen because I have Commandeer in my hand. Every turn has a critical decision that I have to think of, and is literally going to affect how the game goes. Like I can figuratively, but also literally accidentally king make, because I'm interacting with the wrong thing and taking the wrong thing. But like I also have to have perfect information at the same time. Like the Rog Sai player did a great job of being silent and being stoic the whole time and playing it off like, no, Silas sucks.
Silas sucks.
I am in a bad spot, right? They can kind of like convince me that like I am doing the right thing and like it is good for me to do this, when at the same time like I'm doing the wrong thing. So it's just, I agree. I think it's easier to beat these decks that have to make a lot of decisions when you only have to make one decision. Push, win, try to do my thing right now, and then they have to try to figure out, is it advantageous for me to interact here? How do I interact here? Should I have interacted? It was earlier, and like you make them mess up. I mean, if you're in a tournament, it's really hard to do that because the best players are in tournaments, and like especially the higher up in a tournament you go, the harder it is for people to mess up, or the harder it is to rely on your opponents to mess up.
The accidental king making yourself and like with a commandeer, like king making someone else rather, like you have to just also be okay with that. You know what I mean? Like when you're a turbo deck, you're okay with that. I'm gonna feed the Ristic Study. If you have it, I give the game to you afterwards. I don't care who wins because I didn't win. I think you have to have the same mindset going either way, but it becomes a lot more difficult because also with commandeer, then every time someone puts a powerful spell in the stack, you have to think. And if
I want it?
And if you think too long, your opponents are gonna realize what you have and they're gonna start being able to play around you a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you think Ristic Study, you hold 3 cards a little separate from your hand, you go, I guess this is okay. And then they go, oh, there's a commandeer. Okay, so maybe I should like wait and do my instant speed ad nauseum instead. So like the more that you think, you give your opponents information simply by thinking because you're pausing on every powerful thing so they know that you have interaction now. Or you could be bluffing, but they're going to think that you might.
I mean, I think my main problem is that these big Ristic Study decks that are just trying to copy Ristic Study need a Ristic Study in play to copy.
Right.
And I don't know why I tried to stop the Ristic Study and like went and be like, no, I have to have it. Like I should have let him have it. And then that way we are really safe against the other 2 turbo decks. So I think it was just a mindset adjustment. The second game went much better. I clutched the second game and it was just stop everyone from doing everything, even something that was extremely minimal. Ping something off with Walking Ballista. So glad I'm on that and not Chrome Dome, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Way more relevant 1 damage than just a 1/3.
Can you remind me what Chrome Dome does? I know it's a weird win condition, but I don't remember exactly what it does.
So it's a 2 mana 1/3 that gives other artifact creatures +1/+0, and then for 5 mana you can make a copy of another artifact creature you control. It has haste, and you sacrifice it at the beginning of your next end step.
How does that win? What do you do?
Like if you have your Urza in play and you made a construct with your infinite mana, you just make infinite constructs.
Oh, and then you attack.
And then you attack with them because they all have haste.
Yeah, Walking Ballista is so much better. You can do it at instant speed.
I can do it at instant speed if I Born Upon the Wind or an Immersion Zone or something.
Yeah, okay, I like that a lot more. Okay.
So Artist Talent.
Artist Talent, back to it. This is a card that is good, I think. If you can make it work, it's good.
I think if you can make it work, it's good. Yeah.
I want to find a slot for Enrogsai, and I just haven't really figured out where. There's like 2 questionable slots for me that I have right now. Even though I've talked about coming around to Wheel of Misfortune, I do think Wheel of Misfortune is probably still the 99th card in the deck.
Better than this, I think.
I think it might be better than this, but that would be the card that I would be considering. I have a Grim Tutor slot that I retook a Grim Tutor out and put Demonic
Council back in.
I put Demonic Council back in.
No kidding.
And
okay.
I'm not sure which one of those is better. The reason I put Council back in is all the Rockside decks that win are playing Demonic Council. So I should be playing it. I'll listen to the decks that win.
There we go.
But the issue that I have with it is it's not a great early game tutor. Like, yes, you can turn it on, and it's easy to turn on. It is, but sometimes you can't turn it on. Whereas Grim Tutor is always on in the early games. It's on. But 3 mana is a lot of mana. You know what I mean? Like, it's a big difference. In the late game, I'm always now necroing for like lower than I have been in the past. I'll necro down to 2 most of the time, 2 or 3 or something like that. And that means that Grim Tutor is shut off. At least at Demonic Council, once I've drawn all those cards, Demonic Council is super easy to turn on. It's the easiest thing in the world to turn on. Once I've drawn 30 cards, I can just fill my graveyard with whatever.
Especially if you're Born Upon the Winding, and then that way, like, it still has Delirium when you go to cast it in response to all the Necro triggers.
Exactly. Flash speed, those cards are in the graveyard with the Necro triggers to exile them, so it's still good there. So I've made that swap, but I still do think it's like the 98th card in the list. I do think it's like one of the worst cards because it doesn't have a benefit. All of the other cards have a significant benefit, if that makes sense.
You're talking about Artist Talent doesn't have a significant
benefit? I'm talking
benefit?
about Demonic Council specifically.
Okay.
Sorry, I switched a little bit. But Demonic Council doesn't have a specific benefit, whereas like all the other tutors, they do a specific thing that the other tutors don't do. Whereas Demonic Council is only Demonic Tutor, but worse. You know what I mean? It's like Praetor's Grasp is Demonic Tutor, but I can search your library for win condition. That makes it a little bit better. Vampiric Tutor is worse than Demonic Tutor, but it's 1 mana less. It goes on top of my library, but it's 1 mana less than Demonic Tutor. All the other things in the deck, they have an upside, whereas Council doesn't have an upside. It has a downside. That's all.
That's the thing.
You know what I mean?
It does have a downside.
Whereas Artist Talent, it has an upside. It does something specific and unique. It fills the graveyard very quickly, and if I can level up, making all my artifacts and my ritual making Demonic Tutor 1 mana, holy shit, that's really fucking good. So like, it does something unique that I want to try, but I haven't really pulled the trigger on it yet.
I think it does seem hard to get off is kind of the thing, especially in a deck that like wants to win so quickly. It doesn't feel like it makes sense to go 2 mana into this, 3 mana into level it up, and then you kind of have to cast
more
4 non-creature spells in order for the 3 mana that you put into it to officially ramp you and like get you really going from there. Honestly, I would argue you have to cast 6 to officially make up for all of the mana that you put into this.
And if you're playing a deck like Ral Zarek, where you're specifically trying to cast as not Ral Zarek, just Ral.
I call him Ral Zarek,
but that's not his name.
That is his full name. But Ral Monsoon Mage is the name of the card.
A deck like that, I think this card makes a lot more sense in because you are trying to manual storm. Roxai isn't really trying to manual storm. Roxai is setting up an A+B. It's a Splinter Twin deck. It's trying to set up 2 cards. I'm trying to set up Ad Nauseam and then Breach after that. Like, it's a little bit different than like a traditional storm deck. Whereas like Casey Jones, the Turtles deck that I had played recently.
Oh, with love this.
Oh my god, this card is insane in that deck. It's exactly everything that deck wants to do. It gives you more cards, more filter. It gives you the reduction, which is insanely important. Like, it's perfect in that deck. It's perfect in Ral, but in Rog, I still feel like it's questionable.
I feel like if the abilities were flip-flopped, if it was a 2-mana reducer and then 3 mana to do looting things.
I like that much more.
I mean, they would never have done that because non-creatures, okay.
That's good.
For 2 mana, now my Soul Ring is free.
Oh, that's good.
That would be insane.
And then I to my Arcane Signet is only 1 mana, so then I tap and then I have a color. That's good. That's some good play patterns I'm thinking about that.
Yeah, that would be gross.
Yeah.
So I understand why they didn't do that, but now they made the card slightly sadder this way.
Yeah, slightly sadder.
Still good enough for a lot of decks. I don't know for Rog side, but for like a Ral or I think like you're saying a Manual
Storm.
Who's Manual Storm?
Good guy, probably.
Probably, yeah.
You have another card or deck that you want to talk about?
Yo, why is everyone playing Dylan?
Cameron?
Amphibian Downpour is seen play
Returned
way too much now, right?
Storm is good.
Storm is good.
Yeah.
We've talked about this card on the podcast before. When we talked about it on the show, it was in reference to Marnius specifically.
The first deck that really turned it into a powerful piece of shit.
A household name. Yeah, exactly. Because every single copy that entered is a permanent, and that is seen as a token. And Marnius sees that, so every Storm copy draws you a card with Marnius.
It's specifically powerful because it doesn't just make 10 tokens. It makes 1 token, then it makes 1 token, then it makes 1 token, which triggers Marnius individually.
Why is it seen play now? Because Marnius is seen like 0 play competitively now.
I would be curious, is this card seeing play in decks that are also playing Stormkilling Artist?
I'd seen playing like Kinnan.
Maybe it's just like hard to interact with, very powerful interaction there.
I can understand now if you're playing like the Rog Ishai decks, if you're playing like Archmage of Emeritus, or if you're playing that other guy you just said, Stormkilling Artist. Yeah.
All those storm triggers, if you make 10 copies of this and you draw 10 cards,
it actually ramps you if you have Stormkilling Artist in play too.
10 treasures, not 10 cards, but yeah.
Archmage of Emeritus draws you 10 cards, right? So like there is a lot of crazy upside with that.
I think also if you're playing a control role, it's the Wrath of God that you want for cEDH, right? It's instant speed. You can get rid of all of the relevant creatures that you want with keeping the other ones that don't matter.
Arguably uncounterably so, because you start putting 2 copies of it onto each thing that you care about. So that way they can't just like use a counterspell in their hand to protect their Kinnan. Like a lot of these decks, like if you do this onto a Rakdos, the muscle, they'll have to sacrifice their Rakdos in response to it because there's 2 coming at it. They can't just red blast the one. They have to do something drastic.
And very interesting that it's an enchantment, which means like Flusterstorm, the storm counterspell, can't really stop this. Like, it's kind of unique. And I think if you're really leaning into that Rog Ishai Kinnan style of role of control, like I just said, I think this is the toxic deluge that cEDH players really want to be playing. Whereas deluge, truthfully, kind of sucks. Not very good. In cEDH, it sucks. In Casual Commander, it's cracked.
This is more like a 3-mana Plague Wind, realistically.
Kind of, right?
Yeah.
And you just have to wait. You have to bide your time. You can't do it whenever. You have to wait until a big stack war breaks out. But if you're doing the Rhystic Study thing, you're pushing for that to happen. You're not taking the Rhystic Study. You're cloning the Rhystic Study. You have one too. Let's feed each other. Let's all create a big stack so that I cast my Storm spell and I turn off all of your things at the right moment and then I can win over top.
Because you always have mana open. Right. That's the other thing too.
And I like that it's a must respond to. It's a perfect bait.
Yeah.
If you cast this, a lot of players are going to need to respond. You're going to have to force action when this is on the stack.
Now I have to sacrifice my Ranger Captain of Eos.
And then in response to the Ranger Captain, now I flash in my Basalt Monolith over top and I can win over top. It like creates a moment because they must do something, but they must do something at not a moment where someone's trying to win. You don't have to put a win on the stack for someone to respond. You put a spell on a stack that is not a win condition, but they still must respond to so that you can then go over top. It creates a moment. I think that's why this card's really good.
It kind of force windows that way.
Yeah, it forces windows.
It's probably also a really good political tool where you can just go like, I'm going to shut off everyone's creatures who doesn't want to draw.
Yeah, hey, you feed I have this, feed the storm count and I can shut off all of their creatures. And they go, okay, yeah, I'll feed the storm count. And you go, okay, yeah, Rhystic Study. Sure, yeah, I'll shut off those creatures. I've just drawn 10 cards. Who cares? It doesn't matter.
That's so funny.
Great political tool.
I can understand this now. I'm going to put it in my Urza list because I didn't put it in because I didn't quite understand it.
I think it's great in the Urza list.
But I think it'll make a lot of sense in there too. Because again, like I don't want a Wrath because I want to keep Urza and my Construct in play.
You permanently lock off commanders, right? They can't put it into the command zone because it just turns them into a 0/1.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. It's not moving them to another zone, so they don't really get that opportunity.
So you get to permanently shut off somebody else's Kinnan, and they have like, I can't normally you don't kill the Kinnan, they'll just recast it. Who cares? They have mana.
No, that's why I'm saying like they have to do something drastic, like bounce Kinnan with Chain of Vapor or something like that, or sacrifice their Rakdos or something like that.
The issue is the 3 mana. I know it sounds weird. 3 mana is a lot.
3 mana is a lot.
It's just a lot of mana, so you have to be able to make that mana. But if you're playing Rograk in the command zone, you're playing Kinnan in the command zone. You have mana. You have ways to get it and find it, and your whole goal is get Smothering Tithe into play or whatever, like,
Yeah.
mana's your goal. So.
I'm also realizing that Urza, Lord High Artificer, is 3 mana because he enters and makes a construct that can tap right
effectively.
away.
It's the same thing like with the Stormkiln. You have to invest a 4th mana first, but you get it back basically.
But you get
right
it
away.
back, yeah,
as
exactly.
long as you can use it.
Yeah, at least with Urza, it's a free thing that you get back right away.
It gives the mana back right away.
Yeah, exactly. The other day I was just like, oh, this is kind of nice. I have to again present more like you're saying, but at least like it doesn't feel drastically worse than Kinnan.
Yeah. I think
Even
this
though
card is
it
good.
is.
Again, another card I'm not super interested in. I mean, Control can be super fun, but for me right now, I've been sort of turbo brain that like it's not a style that I'm particularly interested in. I want to win the game. My goal is to win the game. I don't want to push the game into a draw. I'm trying to win the game. That's my goal. This does help you win the game for sure. Pushing the game longer isn't a particular goal of mine, but I still understand that this card is undoubtedly very powerful for sure. It's also, it doesn't do anything against Rogsai, which I like. So yeah, you should totally play it.
Cool.
I'm going to win on turn 2 when you don't have the mana yet.
I keep losing the Rogsai. It's a terrible time. Speaking of a terrible time.
Yeah.
I gotta show you this fucking Ulalek deck.
Oh, dude, I saw someone post this on the internet, and I thought it was a joke. I said, this card cannot be a real
April
card.
Fools!
This cannot be a real fucking card that does this many things.
No, but it is. Okay, so this stupid fuck is a legendary Eldrazi creature.
An insane mana cost.
An insane mana cost of hybrid colorless and then Wooburg.
Yeah.
A hybrid white colorless, a hybrid blue colorless, a hybrid green colorless.
How do you even say that in an efficient way?
I don't have a way. I'm taking 15 minutes to do this. Yeah, this is so annoying.
You could pay for this with a Soul Ring and a Mana Vault. Is each one colorless, color?
Oh, yeah, that is what that is. It's not like when they did this with like Beseech the Queen. Remember when they did this? It was too generic instead.
Yeah.
But this is just straight up colorless. Yeah, so you could cast this off of 5 colorless mana.
Which is great.
It's a 2/5, notably.
Okay.
Honestly, notably, it's a 2/5.
5 toughness is huge, very thick
It
ass.
says devoid.
So it has no color.
No color. And whenever you cast an Eldrazi spell, which is never happens, right?
Unless your deck is full of them.
Yeah. You may pay 2 colorless. So already you have to spend more than these expensive Eldrazi.
And the Eldrazi's are already, the good ones are already expensive.
Yep. If you do, you copy all spells you control.
All spells.
Then copy all activated abilities and triggered abilities you control, and you can choose new copies for these. So this is kind of wild. So I would like to keep in mind that most Eldrazi creatures on the stack have cast triggers, so that if you have 2 extra colorless mana to spend, you're not only copying the creature that's on the stack, you're also copying the cast trigger.
So you copy the cast trigger, and then you copy the creature, and then when you copy the creature, the copied creature doesn't give you another cast trigger because you're not casting the copy, you're just copying it. That's what it says?
Correct, but you're still, the ability of Ulalek is still copying the cast trigger that it has. So it's basically like you're casting the spell again.
You're getting, but only once. You can't repeat, because you can't, there's no cast trigger on the copy.
Can you?
You don't cast the copy, right? You just make a copy.
That is true.
Yeah, so you don't get another cast trigger there. But still. There's a lot of Eldrazi that are in here, and just a lot of kind of weird stuff. Can you remind me, did this list like top a tournament? Did it win a tournament?
No, it won.
It won a tournament.
It won a tournament.
real cEDH tournament.
A real cEDH tournament
with other
that
decks
had
in it.
92 players in it.
Okay, fuck yeah.
And dude, the top 8 had like real decks in it too.
I don't know if you got something you want to say. I need to see this list with my eyes.
So do I. So like I'm gonna try. Here, I'll text you the link to the deck. So
I gotta get an iPad.
Yeah, we do have to get you an iPad. It's on MTG Top 8. Keep in mind they have a visual version that you can look at too. I am honestly having a lot of trouble figuring out exactly how this deck wins.
Probably attacking with 11-11s.
Probably, yeah. What I have noticed is that there are a lot of ways to copy triggers. So I think a big part of what you're trying to do
is annihilate people.
No, there's no annihilator.
No annihilator.
There's no big boys.
No
annihilator.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's little ones.
So I think what you're trying to do is like copy Ulalek's trigger so that we can get multiple other Eldrazi that we're getting. So notably, like a card that we already know is the 13 mana Emrakul, the Promised End, right?
That's in here?
Yep. How cool would it be to get another player's turn and take 2 players' turns, right?
Can you take the same player's turn twice?
You could target them twice, but then they take an additional turn after that, but it doesn't matter. I feel like it's almost better to have 2 different players and then
there's really not that many Eldrazi in here though, weirdly.
There's still notable ones. Sowing Mycospawn's another card, which is very interesting. So finding 2 lands as a cast trigger, I think, is pretty good. Omni Changeling is an Eldrazi on the stack, so it's 2 clones.
Yeah, Dimensional Influence Infiltrator, this has got to be a win condition. I don't know how, but I got to imagine it's for 1 in a blue, devoid flash flying, and then for 1 in generic, target opponent exiles top card of his or her library. If it's a land, you may return Infiltrator to its opponent's hand.
I think so, because Spawn Gang Commander is a very interesting Eldrazi that when you cast it makes you 3 Eldrazi Scions that can sacrifice for a colorless mana each.
There's got to be something there that you can copy those.
So I think that there's something with like Kyrol.
What a weird and interesting deck.
Which is interesting. So if you have Kyrol in play, Kyrol says tap 2 untapped creatures you control to copy a triggered ability that you control.
The Boros cards.
Yeah. So you can use that if you have the Spawn Gang Commander. You make 3 of these things, use 2 of them to copy like the original Spawn Gang Commander trigger. You get a new Spawn Gang Commander trigger. And if you have Glaring Fleshraker in play, whenever another colorless creature enters, you deal 1 damage to each creature.
Not each creature. Glaring Fleshraker.
To each opponent.
Each opponent.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, you just kill them instead.
You just kill them.
Also, weird thing to note, no fetch lands, no duels in this deck. 5 color lands and colorless lands. That's the mana base.
Because you want to cast Ulalek.
You want to cast Ulalek, you need the colorless mana, and duels don't provide colorless mana. Makes sense.
Instead, you're playing Tron.
This is like Tron and cEDH?
This is literally Tron and cEDH.
And you still do get to play interaction. Like there's like Swansong, Flusterstorm, Mental Misstep, Pact Negation.
A lot of the free stuff,
even the forces, I would think the forces would be less good because you're probably playing a couple more colorless cards and less blue cards than otherwise, but like still good enough.
I think there's also combos with like Chromatic Ori and Thran Dynamo because they're both in this deck, and I think that there's ways to make infinite mana with them. But again, it's really hard for me to find it. I think
Stronic Resonator and Peter Parker's Camera is also doing a lot of work here, I got to imagine.
I think they're also doing a lot of work here too. Yeah, I think again, Spawn Gang Commander is weirdly like a card that really brings this whole deck and all these combos together by making infinite Eldrazi spawns that way.
I wish I fully understood this deck a little bit more, but it looks just like mid-range Hell End boss in a lot of ways.
It really does kind of feel that way, while also still getting to play like a lot of really good cards in your deck.
Can you imagine how fucking insane this commander would be in a bracket 4 deck if you actually are playing the big titans? Holy shit.
Oh, dude, no, this commander definitely does feel cracked. So I'm kind of not surprised that like this is something that like people have figured out how to win cEDH tournaments with, because nobody else is going to know what you're doing.
Well, I certainly don't know.
I'm having trouble understanding why Seedborn Muse and Unwinding Clock are in this deck.
I gotta imagine
Strionic Resonator, something I want to keep doing over and over again.
Chromatic Ori seems great to untap a couple times. Probably a few more.
What? Chromatic Ori draws you 5 cards with your commander in play.
That's pretty good.
No, but your commander's colorless, so it doesn't.
You need the other stuff.
You need the other stuff.
There's other little guys too.
I would like to note that Delny Streetwise
has 2 power. You
double Ulalek's trigger.
That's fun.
Just like makes it so much easier to start doing all of these other things then too.
What a crazy approach where like the whole approach is a different strategy than like every other cEDH deck. That's kind of interesting.
I just have a couple of other Eldrazi that are in this deck that aren't creatures too. Shields of Velasvel.
What does that
is
do?
A instant shapeshifter. Gives creatures target player controls +0/+1 and gain all creature types until end of turns.
I got to imagine also like it helps you win like the counter wars too, because you cast any Eldrazi spell like this, it doesn't matter what it does, and then you pay the 2 extra and you copy all of your counter spells that are on stack.
Like Nameless Inversion is 2 removal spells right there, but you can also copy.
If you're in this huge counterspell war where you're like everyone's winning on top of other shit, you can only copy your own things, right? You can't copy other people's stuff.
You can only copy your own things, yeah. But like if you have a Swansong on the stack and you can cast Shields of Velasvel, now you can get a copy of that. You can get a copy of Eldritch Immunity too, which gives a creature protection from each color until end of turn.
But it also has Overload or something?
It also has Overload.
Why does it have that? Okay.
This deck is really weird, and I totally get how it can just catch people off guard.
I would lose with this deck a lot.
I would lose with this deck a lot too.
Because it feels so clunky to me.
Again, because this is like, I feel like I've been doing this a lot, and like, here's a deck that I can't figure the fuck out. I'm on the channel. At least I kind of knew what Wandering Minstrel did.
Yeah, we know what that does.
This one, I spent like an hour looking at last night, trying to go like, what in the hell does this do? And Spawn Gang Commander is the only thing that I can really think of with Kyrol. Okay, so we got really close. We knew that Spawn Gang Commander was the first Eldrazi that you need, but what we missed is that you really need 2 Ulalek triggers in order to go off, and there's a couple of ways that you can get 2 Ulalek triggers. The first one is to cast 2 Eldrazi's, one right after the other at instant speed, or you can use Kyrol or Strionic Resonator, one of these other ability copiers. So we were kind of close with how this is going to work. But what happens is when you cast Spawn Gang Commander, you get an Ulalek Ulalek trigger, and then you can respond to your Ulalek trigger by casting another Eldrazi, even something like Eldritch Immunity, which is an instant Eldrazi. This counts. So that will give you a second Ulalek trigger, and if you pay for that Ulalek trigger, you will copy everything that's on the stack, and that includes Spawn Gang Commander, the Spawn Gang Commander trigger, and the first Ulalek trigger as well. So when you copy all three of those things, you can organize those copied triggers to go on the stack however you want. So you can set it up so that a second Spawn Gang Commander trigger goes off to make you 3 Scions you can sacrifice to pay for your new Ulalek trigger, which will now let you copy the original Spawn Gang Commander, the original Spawn Gang Commander trigger, and the original Ulalek trigger again. And then this way you can net 1 Eldrazi spawn every time that you go through this loop, and then once a Spawn Gang Commander resolves, you can start to sacrifice them to deal 2 damage to any target and take out the table that way. So you can create this 2-card combo with your commander. So we were really close in noticing that the flash speed was super important, the ability copying was super important, and that Spawn Gang Commander was a big part of this, but we missed that there is an infinite loop if we get 2 Ulalek triggers. So this is even cooler than we first thought that it was, but it's extremely convoluted. It's no wonder why nobody knows what's going on when they're playing against this deck. But let's get back into the episode.
This seems cool. I like what's going on here. I like that it's probably difficult to interact with. I got to just imagine it's a little slow. You have to rely on the mid-range hell aspect of it. But even still, you're playing Force of Will. Frog says at the table, just like try to keep a hand with interaction if you can or early. They're still playing Mystic Aura and Rhystic Study, and you're playing the interaction draw suite that the other decks are playing. Just your other stuff is other stuff. Your fluff is different. You got different fluff.
Also, everything you're doing is not interactable because it's all activated abilities. So like, even though you're casting an Eldrazi spell, they can counter it. With that counter on the stack, I'll use Kyrill's ability and activate something.
Yeah, the trigger is kind of can be what you're looking for a lot of the time too. And you just kind of overwhelm the board with a lot of spawns and scions, and those are mana, and yeah.
This deck is dumb and gross.
Dumb and gross, super cool.
This is what cEDH is.
Where it's going.
I love it. This is like mono blue Teferi winning tournaments, but it's 2026.
Yeah,
so
sure.
We get to do cooler things with Ulalek.
It definitely, cEDH is the format where a deck can come out of nowhere, and if no one knows how it works, it can absolutely take down a tournament. I think more so than any of the other constructed formats like Legacy and Modern, that doesn't happen quite as much. Certainly possible in those formats, but like because of Magic Online, the best players are really figuring out the best shit to do at all times, whereas cEDH, that doesn't happen quite as much. In cEDH, all of the metagames are a little bit more isolated from each other. You know what I mean? You can dominate at locals for months, and the internet doesn't know about your deck until you take it to a big tournament, and then you can take everyone by surprise, whereas Modern, that's harder. Legacy, that's harder.
Also, because like threat assessment is a thing. Like if you're playing against Ulalek in a cEDH tournament, I'm going to focus all of my attention on Kinnan instead. Whereas like in Modern, if you bring a brew against me and I'm playing Jund, all of my removal is only going towards you, no matter what deck you're playing.
Right, yeah, it doesn't matter. There's no other way. I know what to kill because you're still playing Rhystic Study. Okay, kill that, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What a wild Modern deck. But yeah, so I think that this is like really the format that can take advantage of this the best.
Brewer's
like
advantage for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And like kind of fly under the radar and then win in a way that no one can interact with, which means that you can save all of your limited interaction for people that are winning.
Right.
Instead of trying to use it to protect yourself.
You don't have to worry about protecting yourself because your opponents probably can't really interact with your stuff that well anyway.
It's all creatures already. Kyrill's a creature, and they're not going to counter Strionic Resonator.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Swords to Plowshares, Kyrill? I don't know. Yeah, sure. There's a Kinnan right there. Are you sure? Okay.
No.
By the time that you do, it's probably too late. They could just respond. Okay, I'll Swan Song it, and then I'll copy my Swan Song on it. You know what I mean?
So I don't know. I thought this deck was wild. I like the deck in the sense that I like that it exists.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Eye of Ugin.
Oh, very good.
Doesn't reduce.
Does it reduce your commander or reduces just the other Eldrazi?
No, just the other Eldrazi.
Yeah.
Ulalek, it doesn't have generic in its cost to reduce.
Yeah. But it does if commander tax or whatever, right? It would reduce that.
It would reduce that,
sure,
which is really nice. Yeah, but like Spawn Gang Commander is a 5-mana Eldrazi. Like,
right. Yeah.
All these Eldrazi are expensive,
but not that expensive. They're like 3 to 5 mana, which is expensive for cEDH, but they're not the big ones.
And it does discount the exact amount of mana that Ulalek needs in order to get its triggered ability to go off.
That's probably pretty neat. Yeah,
I think that's kind of like helpful.
Yeah, you can still use that same colorless mana to copy that you would be paying normally on the thing.
What is Urza's liberated?
Like just instant speed to colorless spells, which Ulalek
colorless
is.
Spells and artifacts. Yeah, so like all of your devoid stuff, you can do your Spawn Gang Commander combo at instant.
Yeah, like you get to play like an extra Valley Flood color kind of. That's probably really good.
A better one that's colorless and lets you. Oh wow!
Does it get +1 until end of turn, or does it get counters? What does it get? There's something else. Is something a size thing?
Whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast that spell is greater than Liberator's power, put a +1/+1 counter on Liberator.
Okay, probably nothing really there.
Probably nothing, but I mean. Valley Floodcaller also pumps shit, and that doesn't matter.
I guess, yeah, until it does. And when you add them together, sometimes it might.
This doesn't untap a bird.
Yeah.
Or another Eldrazi or something like that, I guess.
Right, yeah. But it's easier to cast.
Easier to cast, and you still get to play all of the best advantage engines like Lotho and Smothering Tithe and Ristic Study and all that jazz.
Love it. This deck is cool.
Love it. This deck is cool. You heard it here, folks.
Oh, do you want to finally get to Etali and we'll do a little Etali wrap it up?
Let's talk about Etali to wrap it up.
Yeah, you are having some variants with Etali, getting Mindbreak trapped quite a bit, having a couple games.
Dude.
I've had a couple games recently, and they've been on the Chill to Win, and also ones coming up on the show where I have counterspells each time.
Dude, and people are having success with Etali. Like, I went to Tyler and Brandon's last Convoke tournament, the Cereal Bowl, and it top four,
right? Yeah,
not by me. But like, I played.
How did you do in that tournament?
Oh, I went 0-1, and then I went draw. I forced a draw, and then I went 2-1, and then I dropped. And then I dropped. I was like, this is a rare tournament where I could go home early, so I'm going to go home
Take advantage of it when you can. Sometimes the luck is just not there.
No, and dude, I did everything right. It was just spins that went wrong, I think is really what it was. And I think that's been like my downfall recently, is that spins have gone wrong. It's just like when you put everything on red, the variance is going to come up. And sometimes when it hits, it hits. When you flip into Food Chain and Demonic Tutor, you're going to go, oh, this is so great.
Best deck ever.
But like, I found all 3 games, I found the perfect window, resolved an Etali or maybe 2, and could not take it anywhere past that. Actually, I would be surprised if I actually had a second Etali in any of them. It was just like a lot of mana, and then like nothing else was really able to follow it up with it.
Even at locals the other night, you had a great game where you did end up winning, where you had a Rionia make 5 Etalis, and it wasn't until the 5th one that you locked up a win. It was like 4 in a row where you're like, okay, this is kind of nothing. Here's the next one. Okay, kind of nothing.
A little bit of extra thing. Like, it's a ritual, but I can't use this mana in combat.
Eventually, you did find it. Obviously, 5 Etalis is a lot. But I was just thinking, like, dude, if you can't get it after 4 Etalis, what the fuck is going on with this deck,
something's going on with my luck.
I mean, how are you feeling about the deck? You're not. There's no way you're ever taking it apart.
I'm not taking it apart.
Right?
No. It's not coming apart. But I think it just has exemplified for me, especially as the deck's picking up in popularity a little bit more. Like, I have trouble in the Etali mirrors as well. Like, so I think I just want to like make sure I have other decks that I'm playing, and I don't want to get like I think that Turbo is still like the best direction to go. But I also feel like I've been talking a lot about Turbo on the podcast. It would be nice to like play some other decks and get some other ideas in my head. And like, again, like when I played Urza for the first time, like it was such a shock, like such
different
a
feeling.
Very whiplash, like going from, oh, I got to interact right now. I got to do everything right now. Like as soon as I possibly can do something versus like, no, like I actually have to like reassess the board. Like I do think I'm losing out on some of like my late game thoughts and my interaction and like my political skills if I'm not honing up on them so much. So I think I just kind of like want to focus on that a little bit.
Other
more.
decks too.
And then when I do play Etali, the luck will be
there.
It won't feel as like, oh man, what's going on or something like that, I guess. Yeah,
I do think also that with like Etali, like you said, like it's important to have other decks too. Sometimes you're gonna lose 5 games in a row, and that tilt is hard to come back from.
That's the thing.
But you're gonna win 5 games in a row after that, and you're gonna be like, oh, this deck is the best deck ever. So like, it's good to have that balance. I think is super important.
Some games I just feel like I want to have agency in them. Like I want to feel like I want to interact, and just like there's days that I want to get something else out of playing cEDH instead of just casting Etali.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the only reason why I've been, I don't want to say moving away from Etali. Like it's still going to stay together.
Yeah.
It's just
try more blue strategies also.
I want to try more blue strategies, try out more commanders a little bit more.
Something that I'm kind of interested in my little version of Etali too that I've been tweaking on, and obviously it's your deck forever, but I like the deck and I want to tweak it a little bit.
I want everyone to have an Etali deck together.
I want to get a couple more good hits in the deck. I want to have a little bit more reliable way to just like make sure that like the things that I'm going to flip into aren't always just Desperate Ritual. You know what I mean? Like I want as many cards as possible to make a copy of Etali. Like obviously that's your philosophy as well, but like I just put big 7-mana Chandra back in.
You know, as you were saying this, I'm thinking about like that might be something I need to put back in.
And Harry Gas is another one. Like that one I don't have in my list right now, but I kind of want to put it in because like I just want as many ways as possible to make another Etali. I want as many of my hits to be as good as possible. And like, yes, the ritual is there and it's important, but if I mulligan aggressively to the most important rituals, whereas like Rogsai, I need to find mana for Necropotence and that's my win. And now I'm looking at for Etali, I want to find mana for Jessica's Will and that's my win. I'm not really trying to like make as much mana as possible. That's like kind of the goal, but the goal is really to make 7 mana. I want to mulligan aggressively to make 7 mana, and then all of my hits, I want them to be other things that can make more copies of Etali, and then eventually I'll hit everyone else's tutors. I'm not saying I know dick shit about Etali. That's not what I'm saying at all, but like I am definitely leaning more into like I want a couple more things that can make Etali better. I
think that makes sense. Yeah, like when you say big flips, you just mean like impactful stuff. I don't think it's like an Emrakul deck or something like that. Like you could do that. If you spin into Emrakul, you're probably going to win the game, but like Harry Gas is good to cast from your hand. It makes it super easy to cast from your hand, actually, if you've already have an Etali in play. And the 7-mana Chandra, again, is expensive, but it is something that is, again, super impactful when it hits the board, and even kills Dranith Magistrate in a pinch if you need it to.
Yeah, the balance of gas is still super important, because like you don't want the deck to be only mana, because then you're only going to flip into mana. You want the deck to be a balance of like the comparison for Rogsai is like, I can't just have Dark Rituals. I need Windfalls and Wheel of Fortunes, and I need other backup options to Necros and Ad Nauseams. I need stuff to do. So like Etali is the stuff to do. You can't just have Etali to
That's
do.
the thing,
you need a couple of other stuff to do.
And mana is good to flip into, because when you spin into Desperate Ritual and now the Twin Flame in your hand you can cast, that's really good, but like you also need more than just that. Sometimes you LED to get Etali out, and now your Desperate Ritual isn't really doing anything. Unless you flip into like Wishclaw Talisman, but now I have to, I can't rely on my opponents doing something like that. So
exactly.
I think I get where you're going. Like, I think that there's, again, not like wandering archaic kind of stuff, but
not
just
exactly.
like stuff that like lets you keep spinning.
Stuff that, specifically when I say big hits, I specifically means things that make another Etali. At this point, I think I would spend 5 mana on a Twin Flame, honestly. Like, that's kind of the direction that I want to go for me personally with the deck, is just like, I want more things that just make another Etali. Mana is important, but I want things that make another Etali. That's the flips.
You thinking about Devastating Onslaught at all?
Not specifically exactly yet, but I think that is a 5 mana Twin Flame. And honestly, I think I should start thinking about something like that. Is that what that card is?
It's a 5 mana Twin Flame from your hand that can make 2 Etalis, but because it has X,
what does the card do?
It's a red and then XX, which is why it's a bad flip, because your X has to be 0 and then it doesn't do anything.
That's not good.
But from your hand, it's either Heat Shimmer or it's 2 Heat Shimmers for 5 mana.
For 5 mana, it's red XX.
Red XX. Yeah.
How is it for 5 mana?
Because if X is 2, then it's red and then plus 2 plus 2.
I understand. And you make a copy of a thing. Okay.
And then it's 2 copies of it that you get.
Yeah.
Can you target the same thing? I bet you can target the same thing.
Twin Flame, you can't copy this target the same thing. Is it worded like Twin Flame is?
No.
Then maybe something like that is the X. The X is now. I'm looking for specifically things that Etali can flip into. It's got to match that synergy as well. So I don't know if that's the direction I'm looking for.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
I want as many good Etali flips as possible. The deck is still good, but the variance is very real, and you have to just accept that like you're gonna lose half your games anyway. More than that, probably. Just sometimes it'll be in dramatic hilarious style, and when you win, it'll also be in dramatic hilarious style.
Devastating Onslaught can target the same thing.
It can target the same thing. Okay, that's pretty good.
That is pretty cool.
What's the other one? I don't think Scroll Rack goes in, but I thought about it.
Another 7 mana creature that people have been playing in a Etali list, that when it enters, it's like you look at the top 7 cards of your library and put a creature on top, and then like you basically are setting up your next Etali for something else.
You know what's another one that I've heard people talk about? I'm just gonna grab it because I know where it is in my collection. Aurora Awakener. I don't think this one is that good. It has like domain, and for every color amongst
I think this is the one I was talking about.
You're talking about? Yeah,
I think so.
What does this card do?
7 mana Trample Vivid. When this creature enters, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X permanents, where X is the number of colors among permanents you control. Put any number of those permanent cards on. This is not the card I was thinking of. Put any number of those permanents onto the battlefield, then put the rest of the revealed cards onto the bottom of your library.
So it's like at minimum 2 more stuff, and if you get it in the middle of your thing, it's like maybe up to 5 more stuff. I don't think it's good, but like
2 permanents.
This direction, I think, of like having a couple more like hits, I think is like a interesting direction for Etali. It's like, yes, still fast. Don't cut the mana. I cut Flare of Duplication. Got that out of there. How often am I having a red creature in play that I'm willing to get rid of? I would rather food chain that creature later, and Flare of Duplication's out, less interaction, and just like more stuff to do. More active.
For me, Flare of Duplication is a spin, because it copies whatever other good instant or sorcery I flip into when I spin into it. So I could get 2 tutors that way.
Yeah, and you get rid of the Etali, you can recast the Etali.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
However, this is also 2 tutors almost.
Yeah. I think I want more things that are live before Etali also. Do you know what I mean? Like I want more things that like can go both ways and are like get me into Etali and are also good afterwards. Whereas like Flare is like kind of only good afterwards, which you can have some of those. Deflecting Swat is still good. Yeah. But I don't want too many of those that are only good after. I need my opening hands to be real and good.
Flare is also Mindbreak Trap insurance. If they don't Mindbreak Trap the Etali, they Mindbreak Trap your stack, and then you can sacrifice the Etali.
Of course. It does good things, and I don't doubt that at all.
Yeah,
it does good things, but I cut it.
I get it. Yeah. I think more Etalis is what I'm looking for. I don't know that I'm ready to try out that Vivid card yet.
I'm also just like willing to lose to Mind Brick Trap. You got it. Okay.
You got it.
I lose to that card. Sure. You mulligan to that one. I lose to that one. I don't know.
That, yeah.
I'm just throwing cards you just lose to. That's just it.
Yeah, you just lose to.
There's so much you can do. If I make the extra mana and I have Red Blast, or sure, you know what I mean? Otherwise, I just lose to it. That's
okay. Like you can't do anything against Silence. You can't Flare of Duplication Silence.
I can't Veil of Summer or Silence. Yeah, I didn't do shit. So yeah, some cards you just lose to.
Oh, you could Veil of Summer too?
No, I still have Veil. Okay. Veil and the 2 blasts. I don't think I'll ever cut those. I think those are too good. But yeah, anyway.
Veil gets cut before the blast, I think.
Definitely, because the blast still get rid of Ristic and Mystic, which is super relevant. Veil would get cut first.
Veil doesn't even stop Mind Break Trap.
It doesn't stop the worst thing. Yeah. But it's a good flip, and it's protection for after. It's like the closest you got to a Silence. So for now, I'm still on Veil. But I could see cutting it one day. One day I could see cutting it.
Speaking of one day,
today's the day that this podcast is over right now.
So let's end it.
We're doing very good segues today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like to support us directly, you can do so on Patreon, like our $100 patrons.
Davishar, Abyss AA, E4 Cards and More, Red, Finks MTG, Wandering Around, Mike H, Tom Bieber, Cumulative Upkeep MTG, Nathan Cohen, Mr. Jerby, Okie Toad, Penguin Man 0089, David Newman, Johnny Denver, Omelet, Rocky Hall, Spengler, Larceny Roy's, Ray Blue, Sparky B, SC, Phillip, Olden Groupie, Zach Hartley, Big Days Banjo, Reactive, Sean of the Ice, The Works 472, Mace the Ace, Luke Cook, Connor Sipon, Joshua Day, Demon of Rosseries, Cornor Wild, Uncle Butts, Luke Quadja, A. Hamid, Scott Hawk, and Baby G-Bus.
You want to support us directly, you can do so on Patreon. No, I just said that.
Yep.
Dragon Shield?
I say that. You do the merch.
If you want to buy any of our merch, you can do that at playtowinmtg.com.
Thank you, Dragon Shield, for supporting the show. Use code PLAYTOWIN5 at our affiliate link down below for 5% off.
You can follow us on the internet like Instagram for more content.
Thank you for watching.
See you next time.
And then 50s I should do.
Let's talk about the $50 patrons next.
Bub Russell, Devin Morrow, Ruby Supreme, Willow2998, Turtle99, Rick Sharticus, Kaizo, Kitagama, McSaucy, Max McComber, Meta, Ben Finelli, Jason Brooks, Safarius, Sarcastic, Mystic Muffin Man, Zachary Coulson, Dalton Poteet, Jan Wildthing, and David Nelson.
Thanks, bye! I'm hungry.
Dude, I'm starving.
Yeah,
I know, I feel that.
It's the rain and cloud outside.
I think it is the rain.